Hi, I'm Jack.shilley and welcome to another video. Now in today's video I'm going to be talking about something that is really quite festive and something that a lot of people have in their homes around this time of year. Of course I'm talking about the poinsettia. Now poinsettias are a staple Christmas plant and they come in a whole variety of colours. This one's just a plain red, this one's kind of like a mottled colour, it has red and pink tones to it, and they also come in a variety of sizes. Obviously this one's very small, this one's more of like a standard size you would find at most garden centres or supermarkets. You can get a hold of them in abundance at those kind of places this size, and also they come in much bigger sizes too, like this one, which is obviously a much more established plant. Poinsettias are notoriously difficult to keep, so in today's video what I'm going to share with you are my top tips on how to keep your poinsettia looking its best throughout Christmas to make sure that you get the most enjoyment out of it, and also how you can go about trying to keep your poinsettia going for next year as well. But that is the tricky part. I've not yet been super successful with keeping a poinsettia all year round, but I'm going to share with you my methods on how I do it anyway. So first things first, how do you choose the perfect poinsettia? Well, there are a few things to look out for when selecting out your poinsettia. Now, wherever you get yours from, whether it be a supermarket or a garden centre, they will almost always be in a protective plastic sleeve. Now, one of the really good tips I would give you is just slide the sleeve down the plant slightly so you get a good view of what the plant looks like inside, because sometimes the plastic sleeve holds the plant together and there could be broken branches or damaged leaves inside, and obviously that's not going to make a great plant. So what you're looking for when it comes to selecting your poinsettia is plenty of these red bracts, but not a lot of the actual flowers in the centre yet. So what that means is these are like the landing pads for the insects to come and pollinate the plant. That's what's attracting the pollinators to the poinsettia. Inside these bracts are tiny little green flowers. They're quite insignificant, but they're the bit that's important to the plant. So they want to attract as much as possible to that point. So choose a poinsettia that has plenty of these bracts out ready, but not a lot of flowers. If they've got a lot of the green flowers out or already open, that means the poinsettia is going to go over fairly quickly because they're going to be pollinated and they've reached a stage of maturity where they're not going to need these red leaves as much. This is a really good example of a good poinsettia. It has plenty of bracts, there's no broken branches, and all of the leaves look really healthy. There's no yellowing, there's no damage on the leaves, and it's going to last for a good long while. Now they're all the same regardless of what colour you go for. The same principle applies, is look for the poinsettia that has the most amount of colour, but the poinsettia that has the fewest of the green small flowers inside, which do look a little something like you've been seeing as I've been talking. If you do find a poinsettia that looks really good and you're really happy with how it looks, but like there's a few yellow leaves or a few of the leaves are kind of curling up, shriveling up underneath, you can just pull those off. The poinsettias respond quite well to having a quick tidy up, and they don't mind having a few of the dying, damaged or yellowing leaves taken off and removed. In fact, it's beneficial for the plant. So if you have found one that you think is really good but it does have a few of those leaves on, it's not the end of the world. Simply just take them off, like this for example. There you go. One thing of note though, make sure that you don't touch the white sap, or where possible avoid touching it, and make sure if you are handling poinsettias that you do wash your hands straight away afterwards. It can be an irritant as well on the skin, it can cause a reaction, so just be aware of that. So you've selected your perfect poinsettia from the shelves, it's in your trolley or basket and you're heading to the tills or off to do other shopping. One of the key things to remember is that poinsettias hate fluctuations in temperature. Do not take your poinsettia out into the cold for prolonged periods of time, because that will seriously hinder how the plant performs when you get home, and it may actually be seriously detrimental to the plant to the point where it can't survive and will die much quicker than if you kept it wrapped and warm. What I would suggest is, where possible, put a sleeve around your poinsettia if it doesn't have one already, and also try and cover the top with another plastic bag or something along those lines, because that's going to protect that poinsettia just from that little bit of cold exposure as you're walking to your car, and it's going to ensure that your poinsettia lasts a lot longer. When it comes to actually caring for your poinsettia now it's home, it's always advisable to make sure that you just take care taking it out of the car, taking it out of its sleeve, placing it down. They are really fragile and they can break super easily, so just make sure that you take care when choosing where to place your poinsettia. Environmental factors to consider when you're choosing where to place your poinsettia: choose somewhere that has plenty of natural light but no direct sunlight, as that can damage and scorch the leaves. So somewhere that's well lit, away from direct sunlight. Make sure you don't place your poinsettia on a windowsill, because if they touch the cold glass, especially if it's cold outside, that will cause the leaves to turn kind of a horrible black colour and the plant will begin to suffer. So make sure they're not against a cold window, and also for the same reason keep them out of cold areas, somewhere that's drafty, a door that keeps opening and closing, because any kind of draft or cold air like that is going to be really detrimental to the quality of your poinsettia. So just make sure that it's somewhere where the temperature is going to stay fairly consistent and it's away from cold drafts. I would also say to place your poinsettia somewhere in the middle of a room, not right near a radiator if possible, because again, high temperatures can hinder the quality of your poinsettia. When it comes to watering your poinsettia, it's best to let your poinsettia dry out slightly between waterings. At the moment, this one here is feeling quite wet, so I probably wouldn't water it at the moment. But as soon as it starts to feel a little bit dry on the surface of the soil, I would water it thoroughly, but making sure to discard any surplus water that gathers in a saucer or pot around the poinsettia to make sure that it doesn't sit in water. If a poinsettia is overwatered, you'll notice that it will start to rot, leaves will start to be going yellow and dropping, and the bracts will start to discolour, and the whole plant will begin to look rather sickly. So just make sure your poinsettia isn't sitting in water. Equally, if your poinsettia is drying out, you'll notice the leaves around the base of the plant will start turning yellow first and falling off, going very dry and crispy. If that's the case, make sure you're not underwatering your poinsettia at all. Another top tip for poinsettias is to keep them well fed. Will ensure that your poinsettia stays in colour much longer. Now you can use just a general purpose flowering houseplant food, that's absolutely fine. Or you can get a specialist poinsettia feed, like one of these. Now these are really inexpensive and work really well. All you have to do with these is twist or cut the top of it off, insert it at an angle into the pot, like that, and this will provide enough food for your poinsettia for around about 30 days. So a really good purchase. It's got all the right nutrients your poinsettia needs. But just remember, applying a feed like this doesn't mean it's replaced watering. You still have to water your poinsettia to make sure that it stays healthy and happy. That's all there really is to looking after your poinsettia over Christmas. If you follow those steps, keep it out of the cold, keep it out of extreme heat, keep it watered but not overwatered or underwatered, and feed it occasionally, your poinsettia should absolutely thrive and last way past the Christmas season as well. The tricky part is, as I said at the start of the video, is how do you get your poinsettia to survive and last and then rebloom again with these lovely red bracts next year. The Christmas is over and your poinsettia is starting to look a little bit tired and worse for wear, but you don't want to sacrifice any money that you spent on your poinsettia. Now, in some cases I would suggest that poinsettias are better just treated as like an annual indoor houseplant that you throw away after Christmas. But I like a good challenge, and I like trying to see whether I can keep them and get them to rebloom and have these lovely coloured bracts again the following year. Now, as I said, I haven't been overly successful with them yet, but I'm going to share with you what I do with my poinsettia. It is quite tricky and it is quite time consuming. So once your poinsettia has started to drop its coloured bracts and is starting to look a bit tired, prune it back quite hard to about 4 inches above the pot, so that you're taking off quite a lot of the actual plant itself and you're leaving just a small little stalk that might look quite sorry for itself. It's totally normal. It's how poinsettias will begin to rebud and shoot for next year. What I would do then is keep them fairly dry, put it somewhere cool that's again out of direct sunlight, and wait for it to start to reshoot. As your poinsettia plant begins to show signs of new shoots coming up, I would suggest repotting it because they're going to be quite tight in these containers. So what I would suggest is if you repot it into a slightly larger pot, use good free draining houseplant compost to repot it, and then just let it grow normally as you would throughout the season. You'll notice that lots of green leaves are coming through and your poinsettia plant is starting to build itself back up again, ready to flower. Now when September or October arrives, what you need to start doing with your poinsettia is making sure it has 12 hours of darkness a day. So that means being quite rigorous in putting it in at about 8 o'clock at night, for example, and bringing it back out again at 8 o'clock the following morning to ensure that it has that 12 hours of absolute complete darkness. It has to have that. And after a good while, about 8 weeks, you'll start to see your poinsettia coming back into bloom. You'll start to see the development of these bracts again. It is advisable to feed your poinsettia as it is developing through the year, as it is getting new leaves. Just continue to feed it, because the more feed and nutrients it has, hopefully the better the display is going to be the following year. Once your poinsettia has started to come into flower though, you'll notice that it is taller. Each year you do this and you manage to keep your poinsettia successfully, your poinsettia plant will start to get taller and it won't quite look so good as when you first purchased it. But it's worth trying. So those are my top tips on keeping poinsettias looking good at Christmas and beyond, and hopefully getting them to rebloom again the following year. So that pretty much wraps it up. I'd really like to hear how your poinsettias are getting on, so do share with me your comments below and any questions that you have about poinsettias also in the comment box below. Don't forget though, you can also send me questions, tweet me, contact me, send me images of how your poinsettias are getting on Twitter and also on Instagram, at jack.shilley on both of those. I'm also on Snapchat and on Facebook, facebook.com/jack.shilley gardener. I hope this video has been useful. I wish you a really happy Christmas and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching.